Renewables in Africa, Renewables in Action. So, greetings, and you join us today for a very interesting session. We're gonna talk about green energy, and the title for the session is Green Industry, Green Jobs, Trends and Outlook. As the world is actually tilting towards sustainable practices, the renewable energy sector burgeoning, it's becoming very much a pivotal player in global employment trends. Yeah. And when you're navigating both the dual challenges, but also opportunities that the green revolution is bringing, businesses and individuals alike. So they're looking to understand what direction they need to be taking. So, how does one merge passion, which is what I had, for sustainability with career aspiration? Not an easy question, right? So, how do business attract but also retain talent in this booming sector? So joining us today, so what I have, it's an esteemed expert in renewables energy recruitment, and I'm sure you will like it. So he's ready to shed some light on pathways, but also prospect for this blossoming and vibrant industry. So let's dive into this illuminating dialogue, exploring the avenues where sustainability meets career and passion meets profession. So I want to introduce to you Deji Ogunsola. So Deji, are you here?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good. So I'm sure people are, they're dying. They can't wait. They want to hear from you. But what I want to
Hey.
say is, people watching, please, so do us a favor. Just tell us where you're joining from. And if you have any question as Deji is talking, please just drop it there because the session is for you, right? I know most of the time you hear me speaking, but I also want to bring you expert, people that know the subject inside out. That's why we have Deji. So Deji, back to you. So maybe if you can do a very quick introduction of yourself first, so that we get to
Oh,
understand who is this magician.
oh, wow. First of all, that introduction you've given me, I don't know where to go from there. That was a superb introduction. But to keep it short and brief, as Tony has introduced myself, Mr. Deji Ogunsola. I work at EWI Recruitment and Director for the Renewable Division. I have close to 2 decades of experience in recruitment, 15 of those years specific to renewable energy. So hopefully I do have some knowledge that I can share with the people today and hopefully help them to navigate their careers within the renewable sector. So that's a short summary of me and myself and what I do.
Okay, that's great. I like the background of your house behind you. I don't know whether
Oh,
you got it from renewables
background.
or.
I pretend that I'm in New York or somewhere, but I'm actually in London, Liverpool Street. So
No
um,
problem.
not as glamorous as New York, but hey, it's a great place to be.
So what we can say, in the future, we having what is in my background is actually powering what is in your background. Yeah.
Very true, very true, very true. I like that. All
No,
the
that's great.
lights in the background, that's what we're here to do, to power the lights.
Exactly. Yeah, and it needs to be clean power. So, Deji, again, like I say, so very interesting session we're having here. But I know you prepared a presentation that we're gonna go through, and after that, we're gonna have some set of questions. And for people watching us, please, if you have any question, just drop it there. Let us know, and then I'm sure Deji will take a pleasure to respond to them. So, am I okay going and showing the presentation, Deji? I'm just gonna be on the background, but
Yes,
I can just
please free to show the presentation. It won't be too long, don't worry, for those watching. Short and sweet, and hopefully gets to the crux of the points and hope could give you some insights of the global trends within the renewable market at the moment and jobs.
no problem. So let's do that. So I'm just gonna bring it here first. That's the
Excellent.
presentation.
Thank
Yes.
you, Sharon.
Okay.
Cool. So excellent. As I've introduced myself, my name is Deji Ogunsola, Renewable Director at EWI Recruitment, a global recruitment company specialising in the infrastructure and renewable division. My responsibilities being Europe, Africa, and Asia on the renewables side of things. And these are my insights into the trends in the global renewable job market. So next slide, please, Tony. Cool. So luckily enough, when preparing this presentation, the IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency, they had recently published their kind of global report on renewable energy and jobs. So it was great timing This was their 10th edition in conjunction with the International Labour Organization. So as you can see quickly from the first slide, straight away, you can see that the renewables job market is growing extensively. In fact, in 2022 last year, 13.7, that's correct, 13.7 million jobs were created last year. So as you can see, renewable energy is really, really energizing the job market at the moment. And on that first page, you can just see how the distribution of jobs are split between the different technologies, with solar PV leading the way. And if you go into the next slide, I'll give a few key summaries of what we've seen in the renewable energy job market. So as I said, nearly doubled in the past decade, soaring to 13.7 million in 2022. So again, renewable energy is really powering the job market. In terms of last year, renewable energy industry added 1 million jobs. Solar PV was once again the largest employer in 2022, reaching 4.9 million jobs. And most importantly, renewable energy is attracting increasing investment. Now, of course, with more money, that means more job creation in a number of countries around the world. However, it was interesting when delving into the numbers and the figures that there was a large concentration of these jobs that were created in China, which accounted for 41% of the global market. So whilst the renewable energy is growing the jobs market, it'll be interesting to see over the next 5 years, 10 years, a decade, to see how these concentration of jobs are, distributed around the world. So they're not so heavily focused in China and America. But either way, it's clear to see that the renewable energy is definitely fueling the job market. Next slide, please, Tony. Cool. And then also, again, I think it was a good idea just to look at some trends within the job market according to renewables. So first of all is the technological advancements. And this is driving significant change in the renewable sector. Such as solar panel efficiency, wind turbine designs, energy storage solutions, smart grid technologies. These are all creating job opportunities. As a recruitment consultant, recruitment director in this field, it's important for me to identify candidates with expertise in these markets, because these are going to be where the jobs are going to be created. Again, green energy finance, there's lots of money which is coming into the industry. Lots of projects are at development design stage. So again, this fuels the need for engineers, whether it be land acquisition, project development. And this is something that I've seen firsthand with the team that I manage, who are looking at and managing companies across Europe. The demand for staff has quadrupled in the last couple of months, last 1 or 2 years. So as that money comes into this sector space, this is definitely leading to more growth, more opportunities. Along those lines, global expansion. So as I said, the whole world is shifting towards a greener environment, whether that be Africa, Asia, Middle East, Europe, America. There probably isn't one part of the world that isn't trying to push for clean energy. So again, this global expansion of renewable energy is creating jobs worldwide. Looking at the team I manage, we have jobs from Africa all the way to Asia to Canada. So it's really a global market. So again, this global expansion within the renewable space is leading to many, many job creations. Again, policy and regulation, governments and organizations are playing a pivotal role in the renewable energy industry. Candidates who have got these expertise are in high demand at the moment. This includes, I would say, regulatory specialists, environmental lawyers. You just can't put a turbine in the middle of anywhere. So these roles are becoming important, as well as other many professionals such as permitting specialists, as I said, regulation specialists. These are all roles that are being created as the policy and regulations increase within the sector. And then finally, just the general skills demand in the renewable energy market. I'm not sure of the exact figures. I should have had those prepared, but the number of jobs and the number of candidates at this particular moment who are actually skilled enough to do the jobs is just not matching. So there are many training programs that are in place from different organizations around the world to meet this shortfall and to meet this gap. So if you're somebody within the renewable energy market, great. You're not going to be short for work. If you're somebody trying to navigate or switch careers, renewable energy is definitely the way forward. So again, the market is buoyant. The job market is very good at the moment. But of course, how you navigate the job market is important, and hopefully that's what I'm here to provide on a day-to-day, and also on this talk discussion with Tony, and here to answer any questions that you have. So that was a very short presentation just to help you show how the market and the renewable energy market is affecting the job market globally. As I said, my name's been Deji Ogunsola. I look after the energy market, and for me, the future of renewable energy market is promising and dynamic. And as the world continues to grow, to combat climate change, the demand for renewable energy professionals such as you guys are watching is always going to soar and grow. So the future's bright, the future's green, as they say. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that was a very nice presentation, short and sweet. That's what we like, because we wanted more to be a conversation. I think there was a few things that I picked up there, and it's interesting to see. First of all, you saying that the demand for job has doubled for the last decade, which is always a good news. 13 million, yeah. So that, and obviously going forward, we do not see that trend to be slowing down. However, we seem to be saying that it's only sort of concentrating to few countries that seem to be benefiting. Is that maybe why other people in other regions have the feeling that nothing is happening? So how could you really explain that, according to you? But because I think you're talking to many companies, I
think good question, because I guess on the surface level it all looks great that the number of jobs is increasing in the market. But as I said, it was interesting when you look at those numbers deeply and where these jobs are being concentrated. So it's clear to see that China and I think it was America are 41-50% of the jobs created. So there's a lot more that needs to be done, from whether it's in Africa or in Europe, for the adoption of renewable energy, because until we have that adoption, then you're not going to have the jobs that are created. So there's a lot that needs to be done. I would say Europe is doing a good job, in terms of their targets. We have the situation in Ukraine, which has brought forward many targets. Countries such as Germany, Sweden, Italy, France, from a desk level personal, I've seen that the number of opportunities and jobs in the last 2 to 3 years has just gone up exponential. So I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see that concentration of jobs created kind of shift towards Europe. Africa, I believe it's still a bit behind, but it is growing. But as you said, that could explain why some people would say they don't see those jobs being created where they're living. But I can definitely say, from my perspective, that should hopefully change in the next couple of years, and that concentration should shift from China and America to being more Europe, and again Africa as well. Because if you look at the African continent, which of course is passionate to myself as being someone that was born in Nigeria, and yourself and the work that you do, we can't have a greener planet unless other poorer nations and countries and less developed are, given the tools and the money to do the same. So I do expect, that to change over the next couple of years.
Okay, so thanks for that, Deji. So now we know that we're saying that obviously jobs are growing, okay, at the moment in China and America, but they should be shifting to Europe and hopefully as well emerging market. So jobs are growing, and I know that a lot of people listening to us right now. By the way, guys, you'll be quiet. So I think you always reaching out to me on emails and also on my inbox to say that you're looking for a job, sending me your CV. You have here somebody who's extremely busy doing that. So that's a chance for you to ask questions that you have, right? They want to know about the job. If you're thinking about changing careers, here is the man who can maybe help you. Yeah. So I'm hoping that people listening So live, especially live, can ask the question. If you come later, obviously drop a comment. We'll see how we can respond to that. But back to you, Deji. So jobs are growing now. What kind of job exactly are we talking about most of it, so people know whether or not they should be concerned?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't claim to be an expert in this field, but in terms of what my team and what I've got experience in, so we're heavily focused on the development side of things. So you're looking at your project development professionals, project managers, land acquisition, environmental experts. All those jobs are increasing very much. So in terms of the development space, that is increasing. And again, what you have to understand is every country is at a different stage. So some countries are now kind of, they've built enough projects. For them, it's about maximizing the assets they have. Mm-hmm. So the job market will be, for example, in the UK, it's quite heavily focused on asset management and, O&M. While some countries where they don't have the projects there, you're going to be focused on the development stage. And then over the next couple of years, through project development, you'll see different jobs being created. So development side is very busy.
Deji, I think hold on a minute, please. Well, I think I lost you on camera there.
Okay.
If there's something you can do to fix it.
I can't see yourself.
You can't see myself.
No.
I can see you. But 1 second. That's what happens sometimes, guys. When we live, things happen. But hopefully that he should be back in a minute. So let me see. Deji, are you back or can you not see me?
I can't see you, so I've got two black screens.
Okay. Which is actually very interesting. Because I can see. Okay, what I can suggest you do, Deji, if you can maybe restart your system, and I'm just gonna come back.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll log on.
Yes, log on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now, actually. So I'm just going to try a different device just to make sure. Give me
no
2
problem.
seconds.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, feel free to join us off your phone if needed. Yeah, that's okay. Yep. So, guys, that is what we've been reviewing today. So, essentially, what we've been talking about here is job market is growing. At the moment, it's concentrated in China, but also in America. So why in China? Because the industry is booming over there. If you're looking at the numbers in terms of solar development, wind development, China is pretty much really dominating the market. And the fact that as well, so they are owning a big part of the supply chain is definitely very much helping. So if you look at what's happening in America with the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, that President Biden launched about a year ago, definitely has been boosting the market, and you definitely will see things going up forward. Now, Deji was also saying that the situation in Europe is such that things will be shifting as well to Europe, because with the Ukraine-Russia war bringing certain situations. So Europe has had to cut down on gas coming from Russia, obviously focus more into renewables and other sources, gas as well, obviously, bringing forward some of the goals, the objectives that they have, accelerating the trend, which is something that I've seen as well. So when you see that, usually it happens on paper first, right? So they make the decision. That's where the policy side is there, but then it needs to be translated into real actions, which is when you now see that company going out, looking out for people and making things happen. And this is where you guys, your opportunity should come, right? So we hoping that you can take that and moving forward. So as I say, so the importance for me having those expert calls, so bringing experts for you guys, it's for you to ask your questions, yeah? Because I know you are supporting us, you're following us, Renewables in Africa, so you're getting good information. But it's even better when we have people that know what they're talking about coming forward and then and filling up the face. So I don't know if there is any burning question that I could see Hassan was saying hello. So yeah, hello Hassan. I say good Hassan. So good to see you. But if there is anybody that has maybe any burning questions, so I'm more than happy to explain that. So I can say, for example, for myself, so I jumped into this industry around 2000, 2008, 2009. Well, I jumped progressively, right? So yeah. Uh okay, Deji is telling me that he's online. Let me just have a look. Yeah, Deji is back online. Excellent. That's fine. So let's have a look now.
Is that
There you
better?
go. There is a handsome boy.
I try.
No, no. Okay, Deji, that's fine. So, I was simply just coming back into what you've presented, the fact that jobs is in America, America, China should be shifting to Europe with what's happening, and obviously we're hoping that yeah. So, and I was saying that we were talking about the kind of role that you see happening, and you obviously you told us about that. Now the question becomes, when people are interested shifting into the industry, what
Yeah.
kind of role are most likely how can I say, what kind of skills are really adequate, for people who wanted to shift? For example, they doing oil and gas, they're doing automotive. So how do you deal with that? Because sometimes I know for recruitment you have
Yeah, we get
what
it.
wait, go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm gonna say obviously my perspective is going to be very biased towards what I particularly focus in, which is dealing with developers, engineering companies, and your wind OEMs, so people who are building turbines, etc. But and I often feel bad because I get so many messages of people wanting to change industry and asking how I can help. And as a recruiter, sometimes I'm not able to help everyone because obviously our clients will come to us for specific candidates, so they're very specific about what they want. So sometimes I'm just having to give advice. But for example, I know those who are working in the offshore kind of oil and gas. Many of those have made transitions into offshore wind, essentially. So sometimes it can depend where you're coming from. If I look at, for example, the sector space that my team cover in terms of project development and maybe at land acquisition, we're finding people have come from real estate, for example, or if you're finding land to build a solar farm, then if you can find land to build a retail unit, then it's the same thing essentially. So we're finding there are there's lots of areas where you can transition depending on the sector space. So even for example, I had one client several weeks ago who mentioned that they have recently hired people from the wine industry. And at first I thought to myself, what does wine have to do with solar PV? But my client explained to me, well, these people can usually find, they're used to finding land. So essentially we just want people who can find land.
Mm.
So we don't care if they don't know anything about solar PV. We can teach them that. We need people who've got the networks. You can speak to farmers, you can speak to landowners, etc. So sometimes it can just depend where you're trying to make a shift, um, and that will determine the kind of skills that you need to get into that market space. Um, but again, as the market changes, and as I've said, the number of qualified candidates who've got the every experience. And as a recruiter, we get clients who say to us, can you find us somebody who matches these 10 points? And my job is to say that person doesn't exist. Yeah. They don't, I want that person. They don't exist. And if they do exist, there's only 10 of them in the market, and they know they're only 10 of or one of 10. So they're going to command a very high salary because they know in their demand. So as an employer, it's working with those employers who are flexible and to a bit more kind of innovative and thinking outside the box of who they can employ. And again, it's then fine. I've had some clients who have sometimes said we don't want anyone who's got any renewable experience. We just want someone who's passionate. We'll teach them everything. We want someone who's passionate about renewable energy and wants to have a long-term career. So as I said, it can just depend what sector space you want to get into and where in renewables, because renewables is anything from development to wind construction to policy. But many of the jobs people are doing today are transferable. So hopefully that gives people the kind of optimism that they can make the shift into renewable energy.
Excellent. And we were talking about the fact that it's difficult sometimes to find the right skills for companies. and sometimes they're struggling, yeah, to find the right people. So, in such a competitive landscape of renewables energy, how do you think companies in the green sector can attract, develop, and retain top talent that is essential for innovative growth?
Good question. So with regard, this is companies how they can attract top talent.
Yeah, in a green space, yeah, because sometimes they,
Yeah,
what I've sometimes heard is the one of the issue as well with the industry is that they can't find enough good people, and those
yeah,
good people are somewhere else.
yeah.
So they need to find a way to attract them. And when you attract them, that's not all. You need to
Retain. Yeah,
retain them,
of course.
because it's
Yeah,
also what we don't say enough as well. There are a lot of people as well that are leaving the industry to go to other sectors because there's how can I say that, the disillusion about
yeah.
obviously the career prospect. So that has to be talked about. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. How could they attract those green companies, attract, retain, and develop them? Yeah. How, according to you, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to attraction, the easiest answer would be to, oh, you pay people more money, but sometimes that isn't the answer, It's about offering career progression. We find a lot now that, people are wanting good career progression. They want somewhere that they can grow with, in general, people don't want to be changing jobs every 18 months. You want to be, you don't want to, it's not saying you want to be somewhere for life, but, you want to be somewhere for 5 years or so. So people I'm finding now, candidates or good candidates who they know they're in demand, a lot of the questions they ask me is, Deji, what is the career progression? Where am I going to be in 2 years? Where am I going to be in 5 years? What is the ambition of the company that you're trying to sell to me? Where does that company want to be? Are they growing in number? Are they growing in size? What's the culture? What are their beliefs? So that's important. Definitely the career progression, the culture of the business, and like you said, when you attract people, almost it's not just attracting people; it's retaining the talent you've got. Because what you don't want is your talent to leave your company, to leave the industry, or even just to go to your competitors. So it's all about again the career side of things, flexibility in terms of the work environment, the workplace. As you've seen since COVID time, people don't want to work 5 days in the office anymore sometimes. So I have some clients who've got vacancies open for the last year, and it's because they want somebody in the office 5 days a week, and it's just not going to happen. The world is shifting, and it's important to to be flexible and to give people those benefits. A lot of the time, and how do you attract a Gen Z, etc. Because they have a different mindset about what they want and the expectations they have from their employer. So it's giving people skills, giving people management opportunity, giving people ownership. One of the benefits I do like about the green energy space is that lots of people are more now conscious in their thinking, and they want to join a business where they feel that their business is actually making a positive impact on the world. So to be fair, it's a good market to attract people, and I think companies have just got to be think outside the box. As I've said, it's a highly competitive market. So sometimes if people don't have the necessary skills, but as long as they've got the work ethic and the motivations, I think some companies do need to be a bit more open-minded of who they employ, as opposed to always waiting for the perfect candidate.
Yeah, that's great. I have somebody here that making a very interesting comment. I'm just going to show that to you, so I'm sure you're
Okay.
going to love it. He's going to say, he's saying that, hi, Tony and Deji. Deji name speaks renewables already. Ogunsola.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. It's in the name. What can I say? It's in the name.
Yeah.
Ogunsola, There we go.
Yeah.
That should be my new strap line, I think,
Yeah.
Deji Ogunsola. It's in the name. Solar PV.
Yeah. I think you were born to do it. No, that's great. So, we talked about the fact that certain countries are good at attracting talent. I think Brian made another comment. I'm going to show that in a minute. But certain countries are good at attracting talent. So we talked about China and America. But I wanted to know, in emerging markets, what countries where do you sometimes see opportunity from? Yeah. So in Africa and outside the world. So that these people have looking at this sector, getting an idea where they're gonna go. Yeah,
Cool.
where they can go.
Africa and the busy regions, I would say East Africa is quite busy. Kenya have lots of we've had lots of job opportunities there in the past. South Africa, I would say, seems to be quite an interesting market, especially within solar PV. And I've definitely seen a trend of new jobs being created there. So it seems like South Africa is one of the countries leading the way in renewable energy. In terms of across Europe, I would say Germany is by far, one of the biggest markets, as you can imagine, the kind of big powerhouse of Europe. But Germany, Scandinavia region, southern Europe as well. The Italian market, the Portuguese market recently I've seen as well. UK is a big market as well. A number of wind projects that are in development and due to be constructed. So I think Europe is a big space. Within Africa, East Africa, Asia region. I don't do too much in the Asia region, but what I've seen in the past, there are lots of wind projects in, say, Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, which goes back to our previous point of China and the Southeast Asia region being one of the most kind of concentrated areas for jobs creation within the renewable energy market space.
Okay, and very quickly, so and how easy is it for people, for example, in Africa to move into this region work? So are they looking for talent outside of their continent? Those companies looking for, or do they concentrate on the local market?
Good question. I would say, to be honest, most of the time they focus on the local market, because many of the time the loans and the money that they're given, part of that has to be that you're creating local jobs. If you're going to be building a big megawatt, solar PV farm or wind turbine, project, there has to be that you are providing your local community. So we do find a lot of the time that our clients are looking for people that are based in region. And sometimes just simply because of visa reasons, that it's hard to have someone maybe relocate from Africa or Asia into Europe because you don't have the relevant visa, and the time it takes to take a visa, 2 to 3 months, they just don't have that time. So we do find on occasions that it is very much concentrated for candidates who are in the region. And then again, it depends on the sector space. So if it's to build a wind turbine, we find actually our clients are going to be more open for those people because they want candidates with specific experience. So we've got candidates who've come from Asia to work in Europe. We've got candidates who've come from Europe to work in Asia, for example. Likewise, if you look at hydropower and the big projects being constructed, and if you look at many of those teams, they're big international teams. I've got several candidates from Europe who've moved to Africa. I've got some candidates from other parts of Africa that have relocated to different regions. Whereas if you look at the development space, sometimes if you are in, for example, Italy and doing the development space, the client is going to want someone who is in Italy because they want someone who has local knowledge, local contacts, someone who's familiar with the local policies and regulations. So sometimes it can just very much depend on the type of role, and then that will then determine the openness of the client to hire candidates from inside that country or outside that country.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. Thanks for that. So let me pick up one more question for Brian, and I think that Stephen as well that will say hello. So hey, Stephen, I'm going to show Stephen from Nigeria. It's great. Hey, Stephen, great to see you. Do you have any question for Deji? If yes, please fire away because we're probably going to be here for another. Deji, I lost you again. So yeah, can you hear me, Deji? Okay, Deji, looks like you're having some power issue. I might have to send you some solar panels if you can hear me. So probably Deji. Okay, Deji will probably gonna come back in a minute. So I think what I want, I think I can show the question from Brian here, who is asking, what is the future of hydrogen? His cost, given his cost limitation in the next 20 years, should we just focus on EVs and go slowly on hydrogen in order to adjust to green transitions? given that there's already a breakthrough. So not change it. So I will let Deji respond to that. Deji is back, and then I should be able to bring him back. So Deji is back. Okay. So Deji, you back just in time for the question, right? I was
Yeah,
gonna
I was,
jump
at,
into that,
it was
but
actually my mum was calling me to say she's watching me on the LinkedIn, and it disturbed the live stream. So I had to tell mum, can you block the stream?
that's very nice. I think she's very proud of her son, right? And tell her that she chose the perfect name for you, Ogunsola.
There you go. Thank you
No
very much.
problem. So I have a question for you here, Deji. So which I'm showing on the screen. So hopefully you can see
Okay.
that. So and Brian is asking. So I'm gonna read it for you because I think you can't necessarily display everything, but I'm gonna summarize it. Essentially, the question is saying, so according to you, what is the future of hydrogen? Looking at the potential limitation in the next 20 years, and he wants to know: isn't it better to focus into EVs and go slowly on hydrogen, as opposed to have two possibly competing technologies and sort of wasting the money? So we just focus on one as opposed to having the two. I know you're not an expert in any of those two, but it's just your
Yeah.
general knowledge. Bear in mind that you're probably talking to companies who are looking for experts in both EVs, but also hydrogen. And obviously, just rubbing shoulder with this guy, I'm sure you form an opinion already, at least. So yeah, should we just focus on one as opposed to pursuing the two? So what
Yeah, I
would you
mean, as I
say?
said, to be honest, hydrogen is one of those spaces that I have looked at, but I'm not an expert in that field. But um, looking at that question about what is better, either or either, I always think there isn't one isn't better than the other. I think it always depends on the country, the region. Sometimes you have this debate about wind and solar PV. What is better? Some that can just depend where you are. But I definitely feel there is hydrogen is going to be big. There's no doubt about that. The number of jobs I've seen created recently in terms of our demand from clients, it is going to be a big space. So I think it just goes back to where in the world, and that will then determine what is better. But I definitely feel hydrogen is a space that is. I know there are many doubters with regards to hydrogen and the cost, but I do feel it's a space that is going to be very buoyant. So if there is a space people are looking to get into, hydrogen would definitely be one of those, I'd say, in the next 5 years. That's the space you want to be looking at, definitely.
Excellent. So we're gonna be leaving shortly, but look, the people are waking up now. So I want to take their question so they don't get frustrated because I've been saying I want question. Now questions are coming. So let me take this
Okay,
to you before, yeah.
questions
So
are
and
coming.
also I know
Let's
we
go.
have a bit of a glitch as well, because we're going live, so this thing happened. So
No.
that's the next question that I say. That's actually Stephen, who said that Deji, you nailed it up. So very difficult for African to hop into international renewable job. That's why we're asking the questions. So even at local markets, some international applicants have upper hand. Yeah, that's something as
Yeah,
well. Yes.
I mean, that's a good point to talk about, especially if we're referring to Africa as well. And I do see that in terms of it is difficult for a candidate from Africa to go into the international market space because, as I said, visas and things like that. It's just difficult in a sense, and I think it is changing within Africa. If I look at the jobs I have now compared to the jobs I had maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a lot of the senior positions would always be Deji. We need an expat from Europe or etc. etc. That is changing a lot, So even one of the jobs I have, for example, at the moment in Kenya, where one of my clients is looking for a development manager, every candidate that has been presented to them has actually been someone from Kenya or the East Africa region. One of my clients based in South Africa, they specifically want somebody from South Africa because they want somebody with local knowledge. And I think that is what is changing, is that clients are wanting people who've got local knowledge and local expertise. So definitely for a big region such as Africa, I do think that is beginning to change. That clients are taking on candidates, most importantly at a senior level. That is the key part. At a senior level, at management director level, they want somebody local to the market.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that, Deji. So another question from Stephen. Like Stephen is very, I think, is very interested. So by the way, let me just say that for any people wanting to hear more information, feel free to reach out to us, to me, or also to Deji. So you can reach out to him on LinkedIn, but I'm sure as well. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email or email, whatever it is, and I can make sure that I can connect you if needed. So the question is, so what do you think is a quick win? That's a very good question for Africans to get some renewable energy job in international space. Because I know we said that it's restricted, but there must be some quick quick combination. So or maybe not. So what do you say?
Well, I always say first in life, there's never a quick win. So that's the easy answer for me to say. There's never quick wins in life. I would say there are. I mean, again, if you look at, for example, if you look in Europe, we had Brexit. So lots of countries within Europe now are having talent gaps where they're having to go outside their local market. So actually, you are now beginning to see, lots of candidates from the diaspora, whether that be Africa or Asia, that are having job opportunities because the skills don't exist. And I think as we move forward and the adoption of renewable energy increases, that there's going to be the inevitable that countries are going to have to go outside of their local markets to find qualified people. That is just going to be the inevitable. So I guess it's looking up for those countries which are having specific visa or sponsorship schemes that will bring a candidate into the country. So, for example, interestingly, I spoke today to a gentleman that had been living in Sweden for the last 2 years, and he was originally from Rwanda, but born in Congo. And I asked him, what brought you to Sweden? And he said, actually, I got a scholarship because there was a shortfall in jobs. And maybe a couple of years ago, there was a scheme where they were looking for candidates from around the world that wanted to relocate to Sweden and stay there for long term. So these things are available around the world. So it's maybe looking at for which countries are kind of open and have specific visa schemes where they're trying to bring in international talent into the country.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. You're absolutely
And
right
then
there.
just to touch on that point, then again, you have to look at the language side of things. So it always makes sense. If you see maybe in France, you're going to see lots of those engineers, specifically for Africa, from the Francophone countries, because naturally there's a language barrier there. So even sometimes looking at if you're someone from Congo or Senegal or places, then naturally there'll be maybe opportunities in France, which I see a lot of the time. Likewise, if you're maybe perhaps from the English speaking part, there'll be other parts of Europe. So there are these schemes available. It's just sometimes you have to do a bit of research to see which countries have schemes open where they're kind of open and encouraging international kind of talent to join their businesses in their countries.
Okay, excellent. So let me just pick up very quickly a couple of questions before we can wrap up. So there's Vanessa as a question coming from YouTube. That's a chance for me to say that we're broadcasting live actually on LinkedIn, wow, YouTube, but also
I've
Facebook.
made it. I'm famous.
You made it. Oh, hang on a minute. Your mom may be calling you just right now.
Let's not say that again. No.
Don't be too quick. So, okay, question from Vanessa. So, do you see companies asking for a combination of green energy knowledge and AI in terms of the candidates they're looking for? Because AI is growing, so we can't deny that. Yeah. So,
personally, I haven't seen it myself, and that's just probably been because the markets I specialize in are very niche and focused. And again, renewable energy is anything from sustainability to carbon emission, etc. My part is very specific, so I haven't seen it myself personally or my team, but I would definitely say AI within renewable space is going to grow. AI in any space is going to grow, and it's going to be the inevitable. So it is a space that is going to become buoyant, but I don't have the expertise to say where and how, but it's definitely a space that is growing within the renewable energy.
Excellent. Thanks for that.
Smart grids as well, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was just going to say, so there's one more question for Stephen, and is the one more question, guys. That's the time to ask for it. Otherwise, we're going to be closing the session in a minute. So Steven is saying, so even in Africa, some find it difficult. Okay, how do you think we can use one Africa syndrome to get the offer? So I'm not really understanding what he
I was going to
means
say,
by
I'm not sure what that means. I have to quickly go into Google to see what
yeah.
that means.
Yeah. So okay. So I don't know. Maybe I think Steven. So obviously, I hate not responding to questions. Maybe if you want to rephrase it quickly, if you're still around. So we love to we love to address it. But if I can maybe help a little bit, Deji's here, or at least rephrasing that, or maybe changing a little bit.
Yeah,
So it's it could be that okay. So basically even before going abroad, looking at
yeah,
outside of Africa. So how can already they to grow the sector in the continent? How can already countries to work together to allow those talents to circulate more freely, and then help the industry to really blossom? Because obviously South Africa, because of the mature market over there, clearly will have a talent pool,
expertise. Exactly.
expertise that's not comparable to some other places. Kenya will have it for sure as well. To some extent, Nigeria is growing that. Other places are still scarce. So, but but there are many talented people in Africa and outside Africa. I think the question applies for Africa, but I guess it's also true for any other region. How could they essentially uh, free the internal market to allow those candidates to circulate? Do you have any view on that? Maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be having specific schemes in place regarding work permits. You know, that if you're from a particular sector space, then we encourage that movement of knowledge. Because, like you said, some countries are going to be more mature than others. So, you know, they're going to have the expertise which other companies can, utilize. And then it's a matter of, kind of knowledge sharing. So that's going to, I think that's one of the points you're stressing there is how can different countries share their knowledge and help others to proceed. So whether that be in Europe, where maybe Germany is going to be more advanced than another part of Europe. So that means so when they approach their phase, that they can allow another talent to come in and give them expertise. So I think it's going to be from government and back to that point of policies and regulation. Hopefully that will create more jobs, because companies and countries at a higher level will realize that they need to have international mobile candidates, not just typically from Europe going to Africa, but from neighboring countries who can share their knowledge and expertise.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And I think definitely that's I knew it was coming. So Steven say, I just sent you an invite, so Deji, so we should talk outside here. So you see, you already have somebody. Okay, that's allowing me to bring this conversation to a close. But before I do that, so I'd like to leave the floor to you, Deji, to speak directly to applicants or people that may be interested moving to renewables. So how could they get in touch with you? How could they get in touch with you with recruitment? So what would you want to say to them? So I'm just going to leave the floor all to you. So that is I would say your 60-second pitch.
Yeah, again, you can find me on LinkedIn. You have my details there. Message me. I do get a lot of messages, so I do apologize in advance if I'm not able to get back to you straight away. Even if it's not a sector space that I do, because again, my space is very specific. I will do my best to point you in the right direction. Many occasions I give direct job links to some graduates who message me to say they're looking to make a shift into renewables, and I can help maybe direct you to say, have a look at these 5 companies or have a look at these 6 companies that I think will be looking for people like yourself, just being that they're not going to use me as a recruiter. So do reach out. As I said, I know sometimes it may take me a while to get back to you, because on any given day, I probably get close to 25 messages into my inbox about kind of job opportunities. So message me directly, and hopefully I can respond back as quickly as possible or share that with my team. But again, sometimes I know it's tough out there, so you just have to keep pursuing and find the right opportunity. It can be quite tough, but again, the market is buoyant, and I'm sure hopefully you will get the work that you want and desire. So again, it's been a pleasure to speak with you all. Tony, thank you very much for the invitation. This was my first LinkedIn Live, hopefully the first of many. I've been one of your co-hosts here today, Mr. Deji Ogunsola from EWI Recruitment. And as I say, keep it green, keep it clean.
Wow, that was brilliant. I love it. I think I have a replacement here. I can go on holiday now. Deji's taking
no
over.
problem.
No,
Excellent.
Deji, seriously, it was wonderful. To thank you for taking the time because I know you're extremely busy. I saw the message that you post on LinkedIn just to apologize to everybody, to the whole LinkedIn family.
Yeah, because I know sometimes I know sometimes candidates can be annoyed, etc. So I just thought I just had to put that out there that sometimes, especially in this market, as you mentioned, lots of people are trying to get into renewables. And so as you can imagine, when you're dealing with demanding clients who are calling you every day to say, Deji, where's my candidates? And, you've got candidates who are looking for work. Sometimes I miss messages. So again, I speak for myself and many other probably recruiters in the same situation, especially within renewables market. It is extremely busy. And I'll try my best to get back to everyone. But again, reach out to me, maybe instantly, maybe a week. I will get back to you, even just to say, hi, I can't help personally, but speak to this company, speak to, this recruiter, etc. So just keep positive out there. I know it can be tough, but, the market space is growing.
Excellent. And I can definitely attest that you usually come back, but you're very busy. That's fine. And also thank you to Stephen. So you have a quick kind message for me here. Thank you. I appreciate that, Stephen.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Stephen. It's nice to have those.
Absolutely. That's actually what makes this session interactive. And usually we want to do that because we want to inform as many people as you, so that the sector is there for you to seize the opportunity. So Deji, thank you very much for that. So obviously I talked to you on backstage, but allow me to finish that and just say, thank you very much again, guys, for a wonderful session. I'm hoping that you heard a lot more about renewables energy, how the sector is growing. And know it's concentrated at the moment in China, in America, should be going to Europe, but also Africa, emerging market. You can tap into it. It actually depends on you to seize the opportunity. On our side, we're doing our best to bring the information forward and to help you to obviously to take advantage of that. And there's any company out there saying that we have great product, brilliant product, but we don't know how to actually bring it in front of people. This is what we're here for, right? Make sure that you reach out to you. We can definitely help you to be more visible, to get the lead that you want, and to get the sales that you want. And last but not the least, don't forget that on Monday, we're having a very, very special webinar that we're doing, talking about what are the top questions you can ask yourself to find the right EPC partner for Africa, right? What is EPC? Engineering, procurement, and construction. So these are the guys who will actually design, erect those wind turbine, those solar plants. So how can you find them? You can't make a mistake there. If you make it, it's going to be very, very costly. So what we have, people that can definitely give you the response that you need, right? So you definitely have to subscribe. I'm just going to drop the link, in the comment box, and I'm hoping to see you next week on Monday. So between now and then, guys, enjoy yourself. And don't forget, on Sunday, we come back with another interview. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.